Hello everyone, Raycon Number here. This was an incredible season of anime. This is definitely the best season of anime that I've covered since I started doing roundups in winter of 2024. And even if I try to look back and think about all the seasons of anime that I've watched since I started consistently following the seasonals, which I think is about 9 or so years ago, this is definitely one of the best still. Simplest way to put it is that I don't think I've had a single season that I can think of where I had 5 freaking shows that I think are worth a 9 or 10 out of 10, in my opinion. I genuinely think this season was just that good. I've always fought against the following idea, but now more than ever, I feel the modern anime sucks sentiment is just complete nonsense, in my opinion. And I think that's usually said by people who only rewatch the same things over and over, you know, those types of people. Or the ones who just watch, or people who just watch new things, just looking for reasons to hate. But I digress. This was an excellent season of anime, so let's get into how great summer 2025 was and what I plan to watch in fall 2025. There will not be any direct spoilers for any of the past shows or the future shows. So first, starting off with City of the Animation. This show is the unbridled joy of life in motion. It was an absolute pleasure to watch every single week and genuinely uplifted me. Just made me be in a better mood every single time I watched it. I have nothing but positive things to say about it. So allow me to list them for you. This is one of the most beautifully stylized things I've ever seen. It is absolutely hilarious. I don't think there's any jokes that completely fell flat. The characters are so goofy, but they're just barely believable enough to where they work as characters, and their antics and banter also just work so well. The setting of the city that these characters lives in is such a great setting. It has so much personality, and it really does feel alive through the way everything is interweaved together. And the presentation of the characters allows for this world to really come together through their connections. This is the area in which this somehow managed to top Nichijou for me, which by the way is not an insult. I also think Nichijou is a 10 out of 10 comedy. They both have the same brand of hilarious and just immaculately presented comedy done by Kyoto Animations. But City has this incredible pure and tender heart at its center that I think beats more vividly than Nichijou did. This is a wacky, warm city filled with wacky, warm people. It evokes so much feeling beyond just being funny. It's just the peak of quirky charm and wholesomeness that you can do with comedy. It evokes so much feeling. If I had to put it simply, it manages to excel as a pure comedy while also reaching further into the peak, cozy feeling that you get from comforting slice of life anime. It has some of the most beautiful and elaborate animation sequences that I've ever seen. I just adore everything about City, and it is easily my favorite show of the season. I think it's worth a 10 out of 10, and I cannot see it being beat for my anime of the year. Next, we have Call of the Night. Call of the Night is one of my favorite anime and manga series, period. I already read the full manga a while ago, and I feel they adapted the content used in Season 2 so well. Even the minor changes they made, I think was done well and did not bother me. This is the part of the story where Call of the Night really gets going when it comes to the plot and the characters. Pretty much all the characters get great exploration, and you really dive into how vampirism affects the lives of humans and vampires alike. So this series has my favorite depiction of vampires. There is so much great theming and messaging behind these characters, such as criticizing social norms and showcasing untraditional lifestyles. The climax is a feast for the eyes, and all the emotional drama comes together perfectly. I will never be able to stop gushing over how beautiful Call of the Night is. I end up taking so many screenshots of the beautiful backgrounds portraying the city at night. I was really happy to see Creepy Nuts come back for Season 2's openings and endings as well, with Call of the Night having my favorite opening of the season. If you're a fan of nighttime aesthetically, you really have to watch and read the series. It is seriously so good. The vibes are quite literally immaculate. The series also has incredibly strong atmosphere and style that plays so well into the setting and the themes. The series is dramatic, funny, beautiful, atmospheric, and has incredible character writing. It is the full package. There's currently no confirmation of a season 3 as of now, but I would love to see the whole series adapted, and I absolutely think they could. Considering how successful the series has been, I have high hopes, but I do also think the way this season ends really was a great spot to end on as well. So I absolutely adore this series, and I have various ideas for how I really want to go into it more analytically and stuff like that. So if you're also a big fan of Call of the Night, you can definitely expect to see more on the series from me. And next we have Dr. Stone Science Future Part 2. This is one of those series that I did not expect to fall in love with the way that I did, but man do I love Dr. Stone. This show has managed to stay extremely consistent in its quality, to a level that I have not really seen with any other long-running series that I have watched. Not saying it's literally a perfect show, but just the level of quality is just very consistent, which makes it a very reliable, enjoyable experience. With that high quality continuing to this core of Dr. Stone Science Future. The series builds upon itself so well, both figuratively and literally in the show. The general plot of this season worked great at building tension, and as well bringing the series back down to reality a little bit in a good way. And I genuinely teared up over the way it ended. And then the big event that happens at the end of the season, and the way it played out was beautiful, heart-wrenching. I think it perfectly encapsulates everything Dr. Stone is about. This is my favorite singular scene, I guess you could say, of the season. It's not one scene, but instance of an anime of the season, whatever. I love the messages of the show. It is truly inspirational for how it portrays the value of hard work and dedication, and how that can be used to help others. This is another series that I have various things that I'm trying to put together for, and I'm so excited to see this series reach its conclusion in the last core. And next up we have My Dress Up Darling. This is one of those series that I truly think anyone with a creative hobby should watch. This series does so much to continue the series' mission of promoting acceptance, self-love, and following your passions. Every character in the series explodes with drive and passion towards something. I generally find the series to be very encouraging and supportive towards people who have passions and skills that they want to pursue. The relationship between Marin and Gojo is also incredibly sweet and well developed as a romance. They're one of my favorite couples in recent time. Both of them stand really strong on their own as well-written and dynamic characters, while also having perfect chemistry together. And I have no issues with the fan servicey aspects, and honestly I really wish people would pick up on how much the series is clearly meant to be more than just for people who think Marin's hot. You're missing out on a lot that this series has to offer by thinking it's just like horny bait. Also, the other main character is very much a well-desired male character too, so I'm tired of people acting like Marin is the only attractive character, or even wish fulfill me. Even if you want to go in wish fulfillment territory, he absolutely falls into that too. No one talks about that. But I can't wait to get more of this series. I can't wait for a season 3. Can't wait to just get more of it in general. I absolutely love Dress Up Darling. Highly, highly recommend it. And next, then we have Dandadan Season 2. And this is another great season of Dandadan. And I also think that so far, even though there's less of it, I feel like it's also going in the direction that Dr. Stone is, where the quality is just very, very consistent. It's just, everything about the production of it remains fantastic. The art, the animation, the voice acting, sound design, direction of things like scale and weight, it's all stellar. It's still so impressive how the show manages to be so balanced between its various elements. The action is very fun and engaging, the chemistry between the characters is so sweet, and the way it uses sci-fi and fantasy tropes continues to work super well. It has such a unique flavor of ridiculousness that I just feel like I can't get enough of. And the only minor criticism I can make is that I wish they wouldn't end seasons on cliffhangers that felt like they were just meant for one episode, but that's just a minor thing. And if the few more sexual moments do bother you, I respect your aversion to it. I'm not one to tell people to just man up or crap like that. But I do encourage you, if you can, to push through those very few scenes, if you can, so you can experience the rest of what this fantastic series has to offer. So very similar feelings to Dress Up Darling. I love Dandadan, and I can't wait for the next season. Up next is The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. This show is a beautiful coming-of-age romance drama that I got completely engrossed in. The characters are endearing and full of personality. There's a great sense of realism to the struggles of the characters. The developing relationship between the main leads is also super down to earth and just wonderful to watch. The show absolutely lived up to the high praise and high expectations I had going in from how people talked about it. And I love this one enough that I've immediately, since finishing the anime, have gone into the manga. I already own some of the volumes. I really can't wait to get more of the story and its characters. And next, we have Reborn as a Vending Machine, Now I Wander the Dungeon. I consider myself a big fan and defender of Reborn as a Vending Machine. I will never try to argue it as peak fiction, but I have a soft spot for this show and really enjoy it. It is simply very charming, and is an example of a quirky premise isekai that actually fully commits to the bit, rather than abandoning it, or that bit running out of juice after a few episodes, which I think can happen a lot with isekai. This is a solid season that I would say averages about the same quality as the first. This season, I would say, is not quite as consistent as season 1. The way it plays out can be a little messy and unfocused at times, but still solid and enjoyable, especially because season 2 has a really great twist that really got the story moving. I genuinely did not expect the series to pull this, with this unexpectedness helping this very goofy and low-key tone sort of series finally get some legitimate tension. I think the story within this season could have been executed better following that reveal, but is overall still helpful in making the series more dynamic. And another interesting point is that they added a more, you could say, a fetish-focused character, which I was pretty whatever towards at first, and was concerned that they would become a one-note or annoying character. Because adding characters with a fetish purely for jokes isn't unheard of, when trying to add like a unique character in an already big cast, especially isekai. Fetishes are not anywhere out of the norm within isekai. We know how it is. Like, there's a lot of isekai that will generally be horny though, rather than just for jokes like it is here. But they actually get a proper character arc with actually a decent backstory that again helped this series be one of less as purely jovial in tone. In the end, they are actually a solid character. Not exactly one that I need to write home about, but better, again, to me, being better than you'd expect from the usual isekai slop. And at the end of the season, they actually already announced season 3. Perhaps in Japan, the series is more popular and well received. I rarely see people talking about it, and the scores it gets are generally pretty mediocre. But who knows? For whatever reason, they are making season 3, and I'm really happy about that, because I'm still a big fan of this series, and I'm excited to see more of it. And for our last show of summer, we have Kaiju No. 8 Season 2. I liked this season, but I can't say that I liked it quite as much as the first, while still it having some solid strengths as well. To me, this is the most traditional shonen feeling that the series has been, in my opinion, which, for my tastes, is a bit of a downer. The characters are raising their numerical power levels, the main villain is being a main villain, characters are going through their training, struggling with something internally and externally, then getting through it and showing their newfound strength after thinking about their friends. It works, but I just don't feel that much from it. The series is still appealing to me, though, through the focus on kaijus, but I have to admit, this is another case of me watching a more shonen action sort of series, where my interest is starting to wane. But it still has great character designs, cool action, and an interesting world though. So while a lot of this is negative, I still hold that this is a good season of a show that I still like. I do plan to finish the series, but it's a shame that this is yet another case of a shonen losing steam for me. But I still really love Kafka as a character, and I want to see how his story ends. He is the driving force behind me watching it in the first place, and he is still keeping me here. And with that, we have so much incredible stuff that happened in this season. With so many of these being absolute favorites of mine, both series I have seen and series I hadn't seen yet, even the worst of this season, I think was just solid sequels that have a mix of strengths and flaws. I have so much to gush about, and I think this high quality proves that it is one of the best seasons that I've reviewed and one of my favorites in general. I do still have more that I want to put together regarding series from the summer, so please keep an eye out for that. Now, moving on to Fall 25, we'll start with Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Writer. Tojima Tanzaburo has always loved the fictional series Kamen Rider and dreamed of becoming one. But after reaching 40, he thought it was truly time to give up. That is, until he hears about crimes being done by people pretending to be members of Shocker, an evil organization from Kamen Rider. This chance to chase his dreams makes him don the mask and fight desperately for justice as a Kamen Rider. I am not a proper fan of Kamen Rider, but I know of it and respect it for its impact on Japanese pop culture, and I've watched some of it. I also have a friend who loves tokusatsu. He has shown me how fun and unique these self-aware, campy series can be. I don't really plan to watch too much tokusatsu on my own, but this one really caught my eye based on the premise. This is an official entry in the Kamen Rider series, but the point of this is that Tojima is not an actual Kamen Rider. And this is what really intrigues me. Older people clinging to their childhood dreams is an emotional beat that really resonates with me, and this concept is a big reason why I like Kaiju No. 8, for example. So, for those reasons, I'm going to give this one a try. Next, we have This Monster Wants to Eat Me. Hinako is a deeply distressed girl considering taking her own life, until a mermaid emerges from the water and assures her that she will make her into a prime meal. I was really intrigued by this one, and for the simple reason that it just sounds interesting. Monster people is not a thing, it's not a thing I'm into, but I can see how it can bring interesting concepts to the table when it's not purely about satiating fetishes. And there are tons of series like that where they can have, you could argue, a fetishy concept thing that's going for, but without purely going into the sexual region, and just be interesting. I think Beastars is the prime example of that. You do not have to be a furry to like Beastars. The concept of the mermaid keeping her safe and happy for the purpose of eventually eating her is really interesting. The juxtaposition there is just very solid. If the main character's mental issues are addressed thoroughly and they create an interesting world and ecosystem with these monsters, I could see myself being a big fan of this one. And moving on, we have Uma Musume Cinderella Grey Season 2. Cinderella Grey follows the story of an Uma Musume from the countryside taking on the challenge of becoming the biggest star in the world. So before putting this together, I had just finished watching all of the previous seasons of Uma Musume, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. I may have the unpopular opinion that Cinderella Grey is, in my opinion, not the best of the Uma Musume anime seasons, but I still really enjoyed it. The Grey Cap is one of my favorite Uma, so I'm very happy to get more stuff focused on her. And the anime made her even more precious and endearing, so I'm really interested in seeing more from the series that's really going for more of that action sort of sports anime feel. It's not my favorite interpretation of Uma Musume so far, because I actually like Pretty Derby a bit better in terms of the tone and everything, but I'm still really loving Cinderella Grey as well. And then move on to Isekai Quartet Season 3. Isekai Quartet is a fun and goofy little series that I highly recommend to anyone who's a fan of at least some of the Isekai series in it, them being Konosuba, Re:Zero, Overlord, Saga of Tanya the Evil, Shield Hero, and new to this season, Eminence and Shadow. It's basically the main cast members of each of these Isekai series getting into hijinks at a school after being Isekai'd again to these different worlds. This is just a simple fan service comedy series that I really like and I'm really looking forward to getting more of. I love seeing these characters interact. I feel there's still plenty to work with by playing into the different themes and powers and designs and stuff of all these different series. And I really hope we can get more crossover content like this for other genres. And for the final one that I'm watching this season, we have MHA Final Season. I think pretty much everyone, even remotely cognizant of anime, knows My Hero Academia at this point. You don't need a summary. If you're familiar with me, you've probably noticed that I'm not big on traditional battle shonen. I tend to lose interest and dislike a lot of the tropes that these series rely on. This series is very much a traditional style battle shonen, but at least it generally does things better than most of them in my opinion. Or at least in a way that together comes to be more appealing for me specifically. With MHA, I have managed to continue being a fan throughout its peaks and valleys. I brought up consistent quality a lot earlier. I would say MHA is not perfect on having a consistent level of quality and tone, atmosphere, and all that stuff like that, but it still does have a lot great about it, like the characters and the theming around heroes. And to me, most of its less good parts don't bother me as much as I saw it bother other people. I really want to see the series through to the end, so I'm going to do so. I'll end off talking about the shows I'll be checking out with two maybes. Whether I watch One Punch Man Season 3 and or Spy Family Season 3 will come down to what I hear about them and if I really have the time and desire to add them in. These are both series that I was a huge fan of at first, but then had lukewarm feelings towards the second season, leaving me feel like I had seen enough. The Spy Family, I love the premise, but I've grown tired of the constant return to the status quo and the extremely slow progress of anything notable when it comes to the story or dramatic elements. I love my wholesome goofy hijinks, that should be very clear if you've seen a lot of stuff from me. But when I feel the story has so much dramatic and storytelling potential, it really stings to continue waiting for a semblance of that to come to fruition. Especially in favor of just more hijinks of the week that I find, especially in Season 2, found mildly enjoyable, but tasting increasingly bland as time's gone on. After 38 episodes of Spy Family, I'm simply not interested in the status quo anymore. And I'm not willing to sit through another 10 episodes or so just for another baby step within the last few episodes. I don't hate Spy Family, I don't think it sucks or anything, but it's just not doing what I want from it. Seems like the season will give me what I desire from the series, maybe I'll get back into it, but if not, I feel comfortable letting it go. And with One Punch Man, I think Season 2 overall was just okay, especially compared to the fantastic Season 1. Of course, that's the main thing people talk about One Punch Man's anime, is the difference in studio. But outside the poor presentation making the series not anything great to look at, I also did not really care for a lot of what actually happened in the plot, which is not really the fault of the studio. A lot of it was just not that interesting to me and forgettable outside of like some specific moments. I still appreciate Season 1's greatness, but again, I don't know if this is a series that I really feel like I need more of. But we do need to talk about how people are talking about the subsequent seasons of One Punch Man. You're completely valid for not enjoying something you think is mediocre, disappointing, etc., and expressing that in a constructive way. But please do not harass people involved in the production, especially who have little to no say in how the anime is made. I'm seeing a lot of very nasty stuff online concerning JC Staff's One Punch Man. Please remember that these people, like the animators and stuff like that, are workers who have a job to do with what they're given. They have corporate overlords that they have to bend the knee to, like most employees. Even the director only has so much they can do. I think the people involved with One Punch Man's anime and JC Staff, they know why people were critical of the second season. But if they have to use blank software tools, etc., with blank amount of staff members in blank amount of time, based on what the people who actually make the decisions have set, then that's what they have to do. That's not a defense to say like, oh, well, given these circumstances, it's actually a 9 out of 10 show. This is what it deserves to get. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the anime is going to be what it is, based on the people who actually make the decisions. And that's not the fault of the animators. If you don't think the animation, the art style, and everything looks great, that's not the fault of the artists. The people involved in the production of anime have had it hard enough, as is, so please be kind. And I'm sorry if these are some hot takes here. If you're mad that I'm continuing to watch a series like Vending Machine, Reborn as a Vending Machine, while considering dropping series like Spy Fam and One Punch Man that are so much more popular, sorry, but that's just my taste. And that's not me being like being a hipster. I like a lot of extremely popular stuff too. And with that brings us to the close of another seasonal roundup and another season to look forward to. I do plan to talk more about the series in the summer and to talk about some in the fall. So if that interests you, please check that out. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed. And check out my website, blog under a log, in the description, which has write-ups of pretty much all of my videos and some articles that have not made it to YouTube, such as my manga chapter reviews of Bocchi the Rock and some articles written by other people. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to financially support me, or as a free member, you can get updates on when I upload on my blog and here on my YouTube channel.